You flew all the way to Los Angeles just to buy a $20 smoothie? If that sounds like a joke, think again. The bright lights of the Hollywood sign, the sprawling beaches of Santa Monica, and the glamorous boutiques of Rodeo Drive are no longer the only magnets pulling travelers toward the City of Angels. In fact, an unexpected contender has emerged to rival those iconic locales, a grocery store called Erewhon. Yes, you heard that correctly. A high-end grocery store, once known primarily to loyal wellness devotees, has become so famous that visitors across the country, and even across the globe, are citing it as their absolute must-see destination. Confused? Intrigued? Let's delve into exactly why this upscale grocer has turned into such a cultural phenomenon, raising eyebrows as well as questions. Today we will unearth the secrets behind Erewhon's explosive popularity. Is it the glossy allure of rubbing shoulders with celebrities on an otherwise mundane juice run? Is it the prized Hailey Bieber strawberry glazed skin smoothie that has crowds buzzing? Or have we simply arrived at a moment in history where capturing a piece of luxury wellness on social media is more compelling than even the most iconic city landmarks? In this deep-diving investigation, we will explore how Erewhon became a bona fide tourist stop, the deeper psychology that drives visitors to sample and perhaps overspend on these prized menu items, and whether this phenomenon signals a broader societal shift toward experiences over conventional sightseeing. Buckle in, because we have an array of fascinating details lined up. We will glimpse the macrobiotic beginnings of Erewhon in the 1960s, discover how influencers and aspiring social media stars are fueling overwhelming swarms of camera-wielding consumers, and question whether we have finally blurred the line between the everyday errand and the blockbuster attraction. Picture yourself stepping off a plane at Los Angeles International Airport, eyes still foggy from a long flight. Conventionally, you might expect to see postcards for Disneyland, guides to the glitz of West Hollywood, or curated maps pointing you to the star-studded sidewalks of the Walk of Fame. Except now, in the swirl of recommended stops, there is an unmistakable new entry, Erewhon, praised in hushed, worshipful tones for its curated aisles of better-than-organic produce, immune support tonics, and an entire arsenal of adaptogenic beverages that promise everything from glowing skin to unstoppable confidence. If you have not been introduced to Erewhon's mystique, you might roll your eyes at the notion that a grocery store could even begin to rival these top-tier attractions. But for many visitors, the ritual of driving to Erewhon, forking over a small fortune for a smoothie or sushi, and then capturing the experience for their social media feed, has become as essential as snapping a photo in front of the Hollywood sign. Now, how did a simple store, albeit one with roots stretching back decades, become an emblem of modern-day Los Angeles glitz and aspiration? Let us step into the past. Founded in the late 1960s by Michio and Aveline Kushi, Erewhon began as a humble natural food stall, catering to an emerging macrobiotic movement focused on balancing one's diet and body energies. When the chain eventually landed in Los Angeles in 1969, it rallied a small but passionate community of health enthusiasts. Back then, the store was quite niche, promoting items and philosophies visitors might have found too peculiar, too rooted in outlier wellness standards of the time. Little did anyone guess that these unassuming beginnings would eventually transform into a retail empire dotted among prime Los Angeles neighborhoods. A massive turning point came decades later, in 2011, when Tony Antosi and his wife Josephine acquired and modernized the brand. The marketing pivot was not subtle. Airy, light-filled interiors, top-tier produce displays that looked like they were plucked from a designer's dream, and a culture that placed as much importance on the experience as on the actual groceries. Suddenly, the concept of spending 5 times more on fresh-pressed juice did not seem entirely outlandish. Celebrities began popping in for quick bites and collabs, culminating in star-endorsed smoothies that cost the equivalent of a small meal at your average cafe. And in a city famous for its star sightings, what could possibly be more exhilarating than bumping into a cherished influencer while contemplating an adaptogen-packed beverage? By the time social media took over the world, with platforms like TikTok and Instagram, Erewhon found itself in an ideal position to become an it spot. Whereas a typical grocery store might struggle to go viral, Erewhon harnessed the unstoppable synergy between sleek branding, curated product lines, and the power of celebrity associations. One prime example is the Hailey Bieber strawberry glazed skin smoothie, a pinkish delight rumored to bolster one's complexion. Footage of people waiting in line, 20 or more deep in some cases, merely for an opportunity to shell out nearly $20 for a single beverage, circulates across social channels. Some customers rave that the texture, the sweet strawberries, and the mere experience of ingesting something Instagram famous made it worth every penny. Others roll their eyes, lamenting that it is a ridiculous price tag for a fairly standard fruit-based smoothie. But in a twist that underscores Erewhon's unstoppable clout, even the negative or disbelieving reviews fuel curiosity, which brings us to the heart of the matter: tourism. Reports abound of travelers, like the recently graduated law student from Oregon, who plan entire Los Angeles itineraries around this grocery store visit, placing a trip to Erewhon on the same pedestal as glimpsing the Hollywood sign. If you think about it, it is remarkable how a grocery store has transcended its utilitarian function, morphing into a cultural stage. People do not merely stroll in to grab kale. They come to savor the hype, to see if the sushi or cookies are indeed otherworldly, and inevitably to record or snap pictures of their carefully curated purchases. By the end, they are left with a once-in-a-lifetime memory. Did they just pay more than $20 for a smoothie? Absolutely. Was it a story worth sharing with friends back home? Undeniably. So, is it all just a collective example of fear of missing out? Or is there something deeper at play? Time and again, tourists have noted that Erewhon stands apart from typical grocery chains because it presents a lifestyle, one that merges personal wellness with Hollywood fantasy. On some level, it is not just about the drink in your hand. It is about stepping into an aspirational bubble of West Coast sunshine and glittering possibility. Portray that bulletproof ideal on social media, and your followers might believe you have tapped into the ultimate formula for mindful living. Moreover, in an era where experiences are currency, visitors do not necessarily need to be huge fans of the store's philosophy. Sometimes, the novelty itself is enough. Who would not want to check off their bucket list by strolling the same aisles that so many A-listers frequent? Erewhon's offerings further cultivate this aura of luxury and exclusivity. At times, the produce might look so pristine that it seems fresh from a magazine shoot, the aisles lined with intriguing labels that claim to harness adaptogens or exotic superfoods rarely seen in your typical corner store. For those enthralled by chasing the next big thing, poking around Erewhon offers a thrill. You might stumble upon a newly launched brand of herbal tinctures or a bizarrely niche beverage that supposedly cultivates boundless creativity. What results is a kind of treasure hunt, a quest for the rare or out of reach that can be bragged about later. Yet, it is not simply about health and wellness. Plenty of visitors fervently admit that the hype draws them in, even if the prices make them flinch. They want to see what the fuss is about firsthand, because social media has plastered images of well-dressed individuals, expensive handbags perched in shopping carts, and impeccably arranged salad bars across every social platform. Meanwhile, skeptics voice concerns that Erewhon perpetuates an unapproachable standard of living in a city already renowned for status obsession. For longtime locals who rely on grocery shopping as a basic errand, the combination of tourist foot traffic and influencer antics can be trying. Beverly Hills regulars, for instance, might describe waiting behind groups of out-of-towners who discuss the rumored health benefits of an especially pricey juice while filming a multi-angle TikTok snippet. In truth, not all the attention is entirely flattering. The internet teems with videos of people reacting incredulously to their receipts after purchasing items that simply did not measure up to the hype, like a sushi roll that cost a small fortune but tasted fairly average. Still, even these fail videos keep Erewhon trending as a must-try curiosity. The store has become the subject of comedic sketches, parodies, and satirical commentary comparing its shelves to a Hollywood set. And ironically, all this parodic attention drives yet more foot traffic. That interplay between awe and derision has proven beneficial to the brand. There is no such thing as bad publicity when the entire point is to boost fascination. Even the skeptics might want to witness whether paying an exorbitant sum for a cookie can result in some kind of cosmic revelation. Spoiler alert, many visitors claim the cookie is scrumptious, but not interstellar enough to be worth the price. This phenomenon occurs at a time when cultural norms increasingly reward experiences that stand out from the mundane. Modern tourists often seek more than just a scenic overlook. They want a sense of belonging, or, at the very least, the chance to proclaim, "I was there," to their online networks. In that sense, Erewhon masterfully merges a so-called everyday necessity with star-studded spectacle. Once the domain of Hollywood insiders, it is now a mainstream draw for folks who do not blink at doling out half their travel budget for a fleeting, possibly overhyped taste of Los Angeles's wellness wonderland. But do not imagine that every encounter is all about cynicism. Plenty of visitors cite earnest excitement, peppered with curiosity. Suppose you have scrimped and saved for a week's vacation. You might very well want to indulge your fascination by sipping on a vibrantly colored beverage that your favorite social media icon once posted. You might even be enthralled by the store's atmosphere, the impeccably clean floors, the neatly curated aisles, the soft background music that reinforces how special your purchase is supposed to feel. Then, of course, there is the chance of a celebrity sighting. While early fans might have been lured by the possibility of bumping into entertainment industry regulars shopping for a quick organic snack, the odds today might include glimpsing micro-influencers filming daily life vlogs, or even A-listers breezing through the aisles. In a world saturated with manufactured, authentic experiences, the prospect of happening upon a real-life star in a grocery store is surreal. This begs the question, is it all worth it? No doubt, many travelers leave with mixed feelings. On the one hand, they can cross an item off their personal list, having confirmed whether Erewhon's sushi or adaptogenic latte can conjure up life-changing euphoria. On the other hand, some inevitably realize that when stripped of its glossy veneer, a store is still a store, and maybe they could have used those funds on an alternate Los Angeles highlight. Yet that conflict is precisely part of the store's mystique. It either enthralls you or exasperates you, sometimes both in the same trip. And that tension is what keeps people talking. Now, if you are enjoying just how surprising and quirky this phenomenon is, why not tap that like button to let us know you love hearing about pop culture and travel oddities? It is a small gesture, but it means a ton as we continue to pull back the curtain on extraordinary stories. No matter which side you land on, one cannot deny that Erewhon has redefined the meaning of grocery shopping in the 21st century. While mainstream supermarkets across the nation still stock produce and cereals, few manage to transform their facilities into a vibrant stage for influencer escapades. The risk of forging that identity is that some locals complain about the weekend crowds or the performative vibe. Yet, the store embodies a very Los Angeles dynamic, an embrace of novelty, an unabashed thirst for hype, and a willingness to prop up spectacle. If you start to see that grocery shopping can be as much about personal branding as it is about nutritional goals, Erewhon becomes no longer surprising, but entirely fitting for the city it calls home. Speaking of which, there is also a sense that Erewhon's presence taps into a deeper cultural current, bridging wellness with spectacle. Where else, some visitors reason, can you find a bustling environment that simultaneously hawks herbal potions, fresh-pressed celery juices, and curated skincare ingredients found nowhere else? Even if the cameo from a star only happens a fraction of the time, the possibility is enough to draw people in. That climate satisfies a huge range of personal fantasies, from those wanting to examine newly minted superfood products to those delighting in discovering comedic material for their next vlog. It helps that Los Angeles itself has an aura of possibility. The city has established a reputation as a magnet for dreamers, actors, and distant entrepreneurs, all of them hoping to stand out. Erewhon simply amplifies that dynamic, turning an ordinary activity into a specialized ritual. You do not just pick up groceries. You drift down carefully arranged aisles, capturing everything on camera so your followers can marvel at your curated haul. In that sense, Erewhon is an anchor of a bigger cultural wave that prioritizes lifestyle experiences over plain old shopping. As one steps in, they can sense the unspoken vow. This is not your grandmother's grocery store. This is where the future of aspirational consumption is being shaped, one adaptogenic mushroom latte at a time. Interestingly, some from outside the city, or even other countries, admit that the hype does not always live up to the final best of that oh-so-expensive sushi. But the real product, for most travelers, is the story itself. People love being able to say, I went there, I tried it, here's my verdict. For every enchanted tourist raving about a super smooth beverage, there is another who snorts at the cost. The tension only feeds the beast. The mystique only grows. After all, If you spend a notable sum on something only moderately wonderful, you probably want to share the ridiculousness of it. If you were blown away, you share that too, complete with starry-eyed zeal. Either scenario suits Erewhon just fine. In truth, the brand has inadvertently reinforced Los Angeles' dual identity, a place of ephemeral illusions but also of boundless potential. The bright and airy store environment can be interpreted as a metaphor for chasing that airy sense of absolute possibility. Perhaps someone from a small town sees Erewhon as a gateway into a more vibrant, star-studded lifestyle, while Los Angeles locals greet it with a mixture of pride and mild annoyance at the new wave of grocery-based paparazzi. Either way, the brand thrives. If you think we have exhausted all the intrigue behind Erewhon's meteoric rise, think again. There are still countless angles left to explore, from the behind-the-scenes negotiations that made celebrity smoothie collaborations possible, to the comedic meltdown of some influencer who spontaneously decided to taste test every adaptogenic shot. Suppose we addressed each dimension of this unexpectedly theatrical grocery empire. Why, we could be here for hours. For now, suffice it to say that Erewhon stands as the perfect representation of a cultural moment, one where everyday tasks, like picking up groceries, can ascend into must-share status updates. Therein lies its real power. The brand capitalized on something intangible, the universal urge to be part of something bigger, more glamorous, and ephemeral all at once. Whether you find that notion thrilling or ridiculous, you cannot help but admire how a mere grocery store rose to the top of so many travelers' lists. Before we wrap, let me extend one final invitation. If you do not want to miss out on future deep dives, especially ones that reveal the hidden cultural underpinnings behind our modern-day obsessions, consider subscribing. We have more surprising stories coming up, and your curiosity fuels us to keep unearthing these surprising narratives. Ultimately, Erewhon's story is not just about the store itself. It is about how we, the audience, transform novelty and extravagance into social currency. Head to Los Angeles and stop by any of its well-known Erewhon locations on a bustling weekend. Observe the fervor, sense the rush as individuals of every age line up, phones out, hearts aflutter, ready to claim their slice of health-infused, star-adjacent magic. Perhaps you will roll your eyes. Perhaps you will become an instant devotee. Either way, you will walk away with your own experience, having joined the ranks of modern tourists who decided that, beyond the Hollywood sign, there is another, shinier highlight that simply must be visited. And whether you sip that famed smoothie and feel underwhelmed or overjoyed, you will still have a story to tell. Proof that in these ultra-connected times, a grocery store can indeed surpass almost anything else on your itinerary.